Time for an update on that Astroglass 160V bass boat. It's been quite a while since I've even been able to make a video. I took a little tumble here about 3 weeks ago off the front of our pontoon boat as we were putting it away for the winter. And during that tumble, my back landed on the winch on the front of the trailer, and then I tumbled to the ground and I broke several ribs in my back. And it has been extremely painful to just even breathe. Heaven forbid you sneeze. If you've ever broken ribs, you don't want to cough or sneeze or anything like that. So this video is going to be a little bit chopped up. Most of it was shot before I had this little accident. And I'll kind of give you an update here on after we've put the Maxim away for the winter. I'm going to try to find a place to work on the Astroglass here over the winter, my son-in-law's shop, eventually once I get to being a little bit more mobile. So, as I said, this is going to be a little bit chopped up. I put in the trolling motor foot pan. There'll be a section on that, and you'll get to see some of the rest of the things we've done. I do have the new floor in it now, but I do not have the fiberglass on top of it yet. There's quite a bit of sanding to do. There's sanding to do everywhere on this thing, and I have decided I'm going to reshoot the gel coat on it. So that'll be a winter project, and I'll take you along for the ride on that as well. So here's a chopped up version of the progress so far. Yeah, one of the things I'm adding to the front of the boat here is a pan for the trolling motor pedal. And this one is aluminum. It's not one of the cheap plastic ones. Actually, it's made in USA. And the cutout I need for that is 10 inches by 17.5. Used my light there to look up underneath to make sure it wasn't going to cut into something important. And I do have this laid out on here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not. But I do have some pencil lines there, and I backed it up just a little bit, so the flange of that is going to be over the top of what they call the hidden hen. So in addition to the hull identification number being on the back of the boat, there's also one hidden somewhere, and it's right up here at the front. And I didn't want to cut that out of there. The DNR and so on kind of would frown on that if they knew I did that. So I'm backing up just shy of it. And I kind of did a little test thing with just setting the seat pedestal back in there and throwing a seat on it to see if that was going to work out and be comfortable, and I think that'll work out good. So I'm going to drill some holes in the corners, cut this thing out. Thick stuff there. Jigsaw was just too slow. I had no idea that was quite that thick. So some heavy duty deck up there, and it's in very, very solid shape. As you can see, as you saw there, it fits. So now I got to clean up a bunch of stuff. Started out with a jigsaw, but that would just take it too long. One of the things I'm doing with the hatches on the Astroglass there is I'm going to be putting in slam latches in place of the lift rings that used to be on the hatch lids. That's these guys here. A little latch there, it drops down and slams and latches. But to do that, I need to modify the holes, because what's there now, where my pilot bit for my hole saw has to be, there's already a hole. So I took a piece of MDF here and made a hole in it. It matches the hole saw. That way I don't have to worry about my pilot bit wandering. However, when you have a dead battery, okay, round two. So you can see here that will then allow this to drop in. And then there's a backing plate here that goes in the back to hold it. I'm not putting these in yet. I'm just making the holes for right now. The other thing I'm doing here, you'll see there, you see this self-etching primer around the edges. I'm painting the edges of this black because the C-deck or HydroTurf, whichever I use, I'm going to put on here is gray with a black stripe in it, or kind of a imitation teak look, and I want the edges to be black. I don't want them to be silver and shining up through everything. But that's how you make a hole with a hole saw where there's already a hole. Well, after a whole lot of sanding, I got down to where the original repair was made, and it almost looks like something may have fallen on the side of the boat and caved in the top of the gunwale there. The repair goes back quite a ways, and I still have some check gel coat to grind off back there. But what I'm going to do up here, where I have all these little pits and pores and whatnot, so I'm going to thicken up some vinyl ester resin with some very fine chop and some fumed silica and get that filled in. Okay, what I'm going to use here for this little filling that I'm going to do here, and I don't need to mix very much, 2 ounces is probably going to be way plenty, is I'm going to be using vinyl ester resin, then some Cabosil fumed silica, and then some 1/4 inch chop. And I'll make a thick, almost gel, almost like peanut butter, so I can get it smeared down in there good. And then after I sand that, I'll fair that out. So there, oh, it got windy. So there we are, there's my initial layer. And after that kicks and sets up really good, I'll give that a sanding, and then we'll start fairing that out. I have decided I'm going to gel coat the boat. It's going to be a black base coat with silver and red flake mixed, then clear on top of that, of course. There's too many spots that need fixing. However, I'm not going to do the inside of the boat. I'll probably kind of leave that pretty much as is, because I'm going to probably put HydroTurf or C-deck on the sides on the inside. So I'll find a good spot around the gunwale to make a break point when I shoot the new gel coat. So I measured the my trolling motor that I'm going to be putting on here, and none of the holes lined up with the holes that were in the boat. So I filled these with, it's a mixture of polyester resin, chopped strand, and fumed silica. Make a real thick peanut butter. And then took these out so I could reach up underneath and put a little piece of matting underneath so that everything wouldn't fall out. The light color you see there is a fiberglass fairing compound with a extremely fast kick. From the time you mix it, you've got about 3 minutes. It's almost like a glaze. It's not very thick. It just fills little imperfections that come around. And I also use that over here where I fix the gunwale, although some people call that a gunnel, I know. But I call it a gunwale. So that one's fixed there. I got a little bit to do on the other side yet. Got my pan in here. So since I'm going to re-gel coat this, I'm going to take care of all the little imperfections. And I got to do some more work on the floor starting tomorrow. Get that tabbed in and get some roving down in there. Some CSM over the top of that. And then the floor will be done. Or at least ready for the floor. But that may not be till spring. We'll see. So I'm going to do the gel coat and everything first. The floor. Yes, we have some holes. And after stripping out the carpet and everything and finding where all the holes, the soft spots are, another one down here in this corner, and I did a couple of test shots into the strakes. The strakes are in good shape. A little more work than I had planned on, but my other option would be to just fix this using alternate layers of roving and CSM, but that would be way more expensive than just using a sheet of plywood. Here's the plywood pieces cut out for the Astroglass. And I'm have to do it in 3 sections here. And I've got coated this with resin, and I'll coat the other side after this kicks. Why do I coat my plywood first with resin? Well, the reason is a couple reasons. One, it helps to waterproof it a little bit, even though it is exterior glue, and it allows the top coats of resin and CSM and roving or whatever I decide to use to adhere better, because plywood will really suck up the resin. So this is put on with a roller. So as I said, I got to do the other side of this, and then I'll get it put down in the boat. Then get it peanut buttered around the edges, tabbed in, and then probably lay some CSM and cloth over it, or maybe roving CSM and cloth. Haven't decided yet. I've got both. Okay, got the new floor in, got some peanut butter spread around the corners and the edges and little places where I didn't cut real neat. Had to have 2 seams in here, and I've got some CSM over those. I'll let all this kick, and then I'll do a little bit better grinding around on the edges where I'm going to tab this onto the hull. So it is sanded, but not as well as I like it to be, and then I'll tab it all up. And then this is going to get some CSM and some roving and CSM over the top of that. Okay, I've got the live well covers and the rear hatch just kind of sitting on here. They're not screwed back in yet. But as you can see, there's going to be a substantial gap around them because we're not wrapping carpet anymore. I'm going to be doing the EVA foam. So what I am thinking of doing is getting all of the old adhesive off and everything, and actually spraying some black gel coat down in there. That way everything will blend in when the covers are closed. And, well, this isn't quite straight here. There's not that big of a gap because it's shifted down at the other end a little bit. Yeah, okay, there's where it goes. So you can see this big gap here, and that's why I'm thinking I'll spray some black gel coat in there. That'll also cover up this in here, which isn't going to match anything. Okay, here's something kind of interesting. This rear seat post, I've got it loose now and I have taken it off. But I tried every which way to get that riser out of that base, and I could not get it loose. Well, after I took it off, I found out why. Somebody welded a nut down on the end of it. You never will get that back out of there. And I want that to be removable, so I'm going to either try to grind that off or I'll just get a new base. Okay, I've got the bass boat moved up here in front of the shop. Was previously out in the yard. We had the Maxim sitting here, but I've got that put away for the winter and covered up. So here's what we've got so far. You may hear some banging in the background. Our neighbors are getting a new roof on their house today. So as you can see, I've got the new floor in here, and leaves and dirt and a bunch of other stuff that blew in because I haven't been able to actually touch this for the last 3 weeks. Got the dash stripped down. We'll talk about that a little more when I get over on the other side of the boat. I did put the hatches back on there, just sitting there, just to try to keep some of the leaves and stuff out of here. There's my trolling motor foot pan. It's just sitting there, of course. And we ferried out the original openings that were there for the trolling motor because my new one that I'm going to be putting on here does not match any of those holes. So we filled all those up. Got the cleats off. You can see on the rub rail here, they used to have a 1/2-inch poly rope in it, which had deteriorated completely. It just came out in powder. So I'll be taking the rub rail off while I do the work on recoating the gel coat on the upper part of it. Right now I don't have any plans to do the lower portion. I think that'll just sand and buff out okay. Of course, pull the old numbers off so I can actually see what that looked like before it all oxidized. I did add a spare tire carrier to this. This didn't have one before, and what this has is this is actually a hub right here, and it has bearings and everything in it, so if something would happen to one of those down there, I can use this to replace it if something happens on the road, and I've had that happen before in the past. So getting back over here on the other side of the boat, this is where the old depth finder was. What I'm going to be doing depth finder wise is I'm going to be mounting a smaller one up front there by the trolling motor, and I'm going to be putting a Helix 7 DI right into the dash right here. Now, got a little cardboard pattern kind of made up right now. I'm going to take everything off of here, of course, except the steering mechanism, and I'm gotta cut a piece of black acrylic to cover up where all the old holes would be and everything, and so that's going to look quite different. And here again you can kind of see the floor where I'm at right now. I've got a lot of sanding to do yet and clean out before I put the roving and do the rest of my fiberglass work in here. But first I need to get a little bit more mobile. It's really hard for me to even breathe. Back here, I've still got to take a couple pieces off the side of that, the gas tank fill on the vent. So I'm going to strip as much as I can off of here. I'm not actually going to take the motor off. I'm just going to pull all the cabling up and the gas line and all that kind of stuff, and then mask everything. Here, this is, of course, I did this before I had my little tumble. This is the roving that's going to be put on the floor. I've got all the pieces pre-cut from my cardboard template that I had made before, and hopefully I'll be able to get back at this here pretty soon. This here is kind of a rough draft and a cardboard template of what the dash panel is going to look like. I do have the acrylic. It's in this big long box right here, and once I get all this designed the way I like it and everything fits good, I'm waiting for my Helix to get here to make sure I have enough space right up here at the top on the dash to make sure that I'd have enough depth, I should say, to mount that up there, because it's really close to where the steering cowl cover is. So it's going to be kind of close there. That's why I'm making it out of cardboard. I can all mock it up. And once I get everything the way I like it, I'll throw it into CAD and then take it into Lightburn, and I'll laser cut my acrylic face. So there's where we're at so far here. A couple weeks I'm going to be leaving for Mexico for a week to get away from it all, as they say, and hopefully I can get around a whole lot better and be able to pick things up and not hurt when I sit, stand, lay down, or breathe. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. There'll be more videos on this coming up, as well as some other things once I get up and mobile again and able to actually do something constructive. So thanks for watching. I'm Roger in the loft above the shop. See you in the next one.